special event alert.
I was pulled over at the gate for a random anti-terrorism check, which is excuse number 50 for being late for changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I'm your host, Marty Smith. I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Perrott.
I'm the one that called the cops to pull you over. You're late for that.
You probably were. Yeah,
I'd call my candidate, pop the trunk, show me your registration, your driver's license.
And our puzzle princess is back, Anna Mondragon.
Hi, you.
Anna's back in the house.
We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other lesser branches as well. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover.
Woohoo! I lost it.
Anna, especially, it's good to have you back. How was the East Coast?
It was nice. It was cold, but it was nice. It was a good visit. Boston's really pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't drive anywhere in it, right? It's worse than New York, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Yeah, it gets congested, but not as bad as New York.
Did you go see any sights, or have you been there before?
I've been there before.
Still have the cobblestone roads, right? A lot of the cobblestones in the city.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
I remember we went there, 30 years ago, and went to the Bull and Finch, the Cheers bar. So
did I.
It didn't look like it on the inside, obviously, but the outside was all there. So that was cool.
I went to Paul Revere's house, toured his house.
Did you? Yeah, and if you know that history, Paul Revere didn't even ride that far. It was the other guy who really made the big ride. Paul Revere got captured and then escaped. And then
saw the Old North Church.
Oh yeah, one
bus by light, and then two by sea.
That's right.
Baby. Cool. That's cool.
So I was talking about the Rams because whatever reason this last week, I don't know what it was, but I got stopped at the gate by a senior master sergeant. So he was out there doing his, I'm with you, troops. Let me check IDs for 15 minutes. So the seniors could say he checked IDs. And this guy.
I'm out there too.
Yeah, right. And this guy was like, take your glasses off so I can see the shape of your face. Okay.
Really?
Roll down your back window. Okay. All right. And this was last week, and they had a delayed start. But the delayed start when I left was 9:00, and then they changed it that morning to 9:30. Right, so I was there at 9:00, and he's like, "Do you know what the delayed start was?" I was like, "Yeah, it was 9:00," and he goes, "No, it was 9:30. Next time, show up at the right time." And I was like, "When did they change it?" And he couldn't answer it because they do all their stupid notification out on Facebook. So the snow line is hit or miss whether that's updated. But Facebook, why don't they have a NOTAM or something like that goes out? Something more official than Facebook.
Because that makes too much sense.
Or TikTok.
It's not on the news.
I don't know. I didn't watch the news. You gotta watch 20 minutes to get Buckley's delayed start. It's like
I have an
app. It's on the scroll. On the news channels, it'll scroll. Buckley's.
I didn't buy that. I haven't watched local news in forever. So
you can download an app and get all local news and read through it. You might see it relatively.
Thank you, Marty. Next time I'm going to call Anna and go, "Hey, what does the Buckley app say I should show up at?"
No, a news app.
I'm not going to get a news app for just 3 times a year. We've already used up, the snow closures. So anyway, good to have you here. Jake's on assignment at the hospital, I think. Did you see Juan's Instagram post where he's cutting hair?
I did. I was offering a free haircut. If I had hair, Juan, I'd put you to work, buddy.
He'd
Puts it
probably do
away.
your beard, I bet you. He'd probably do that beard.
I don't know what to do with that thing. Put a
Well,
couple beads in it.
it's looking good, man. I mean, it's pure white.
I like
That is really well done. You know.
I would
It
agree.
gets a little
And it's not
wild.
all bushy.
No.
Yeah.
See, I have
Try
to
to comb
shave
it,
mine
keep it
down because
together.
my hair won't lay correctly.
Mm.
You know, it's wild.
Every once in a while, freaking.
I like the beard. I do like the beard on you. I think it makes you look. I think you look good. You look like a Temu ad.
Older than dirt is what it does.
All right, stop pitting on Eric.
It's a bromance.
Yeah, that's right. It's several years. We're in our third year of podcast marriage here. So
That's amazing, man.
Dun,
Every
dun,
time
dun,
I
dun.
think about that.
But we got a new work wife, and she's back. So
That's true.
Yes.
That's
a
true.
Where's your
pod
paperwork?
wife.
Where's your paperwork?
Well, let's get to the news and let's do a space story. Let's get the space story out of the way. This one is not a great one. It's not a great one for NASA, that's for sure. So, from space.com, you guys know about the Artemis program? Well, there are risks with the current Artemis 3 moon landing plan may be too high. A NASA safety group says. So even NASA came out and said, we might be spending too much money on this thing. Anyway, Artemis has been kind of under the radar, I think, because it was NASA's plan to use Artemis to go back to the moon and then like go beyond, like go to Mars or something like that. So
Isn't that called like interplanetary or something like that?
I think so. They were supposed to go to the moon and then set something up on the moon, like a refueling joint or something like that. And then the further missions were supposed to go beyond that, but they're so behind and they're so expensive. So now they're like, not sure if we're going to make this. So, and this was
NASA fall under the federal purview? Is that a federal agency?
Oh yeah,
or is
yeah,
that
right. It's a federal agency.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be looked at for money. So
I know. Maybe they're calling it early, and they're like, he's going to chop the heads off of us. There's no way we make it.
We might even lose a few launch pads or something.
Right.
Come on.
Well, the annual report from the Aerospace Safety Advisory Panel, better known as ASAP, has been released and has both praise for NASA, but also underscores a number of cautionary woes, including the space agency's undertaking of the Artemis Back to the Moon with Humans campaign. They got to throw humans in there. It sounds so dumb, right? Back to the moon with humans.
Or llamas. Llamas in space. That's the next movie. Llamas in space.
Hard for them to spit in that globe, in that whole globe.
They have enough neck.
That's true. Yeah. That's a big suit. They'd have to get a new suit. Of note, this report points to significant safety observations for both the agency's Moon to Mars program and the current International Space Station operations in low Earth orbit. Who said this? The report explains of particular concern are the risks surrounding the development, integration, and execution of the Artemis campaign. NASA's mandate for deep space exploration of Mars and beyond is supremely challenging and fraught with uncertainty. So, as for the first human return to the moon, Artemis 3 is planned as a crewed surface landing and exploration of the lunar southern pole region in mid-2027. The panel remains very
What?
It's
going to look just like the southern pole. Am I right? Not like you're going to find buildings on the north end.
Well, I don't. I mean, the poles aren't like the dark side of the moon, right? Hasn't China already gone to the dark side of the moon? I think they had a mission that.
Yeah, and they mined it.
That's right. So they're already way ahead, and we're like, we're going to the South Pole. What do you think of that? And we're like, I know. All right.
You can only walk and hit golf balls on the moon so many damn times. What? I'm not sure what we're getting out of that.
let's see. Also spotlighted in the report is the Boeing Starliner crewed flight test. While the Starliner thruster issues received considerable attention, the panel had previously noted other Starliner issues that require resolution prior to certification, such as a battery redesign plan and ongoing work to strengthen the landing airbag backing panel to increase operational flexibility. So they come down, they blow that big airbag out. They got parachutes, but it's just like a big boing. It's like a Benny Hill thing, they bounce off the ground, I guess. An even greater challenge is underscored in the ASAP report, the persistent budget uncertainty stemming from Congress's failure to provide timely and definitive appropriations. Given the likelihood that Congress will not provide timely budgetary clarity, NASA must be candid about the consequences of operating within this uncertainty. Congress and other stakeholders must also understand the negative impacts this uncertainty has on NASA's ability to execute missions safely and effectively. So I put this together. I copied it off of Wikipedia, but here's the history of NASA's Artemis program. It started in 2017. Artemis 1 was the first flight of the Artemis program, which was launched on November 16th, 2022. This uncrewed mission tested the Orion spacecraft and the Space Launch System. So that's how they went up like they were the shuttle. They had the big tank and they had the 2 boosters. They used that in 2022 to go up. Artemis 2, there's 5 flights here planned. Artemis 2 would have been the first, or is scheduled to be the first crewed flight of the Artemis program, scheduled for April 2026. This mission will take humans further into space than ever before. I don't know what that means. Artemis, so far? Maybe the South Pole. I don't know. Is that farther than the dark side? I don't know. Artemis 3, no planned launch yet.
Boom.
But we're going to do it.
But it does say, now look at when this was written. It does say this mission will include the first woman and first person of color to walk on the moon. So they already got two seats reserved.
Nice.
Okay. But then they'll be like, oh yeah, that violates the executive order, so that's out.
I don't understand the need for diversity on the moon. Is someone watching?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if it happens naturally, okay, but why do we have to highlight it? First black person,
I agree.
First woman,
just take the best person, right? Especially with stuff like this.
Yeah.
This isn't bus driving or something like that.
No.
Artemis 4, that mission will establish a lunar space station and land 2 more astronauts on the moon. And Artemis 5, this mission will add another module to the lunar space station and land a 3rd crew on the moon.
All right, now I find that interesting because I'm trying to think about the purposes that moon station could actually have or do. That's kind of
right.
interesting.
Well, I mean,
I
agree, but it seems kind of confusing when they're like, "Oh, Artemis is going to the moon, and then we're going to Mars." Okay, but our first 5 missions are just going to be to the moon, and then we'll see where we are money wise after that, and maybe just abandon it all and leave a bunch of junk up on the moon. I don't know.
Yeah, and everything going to Mars is going to be unmanned. You can't have a person.
Right, unless they improve something with engine technology and all that other stuff. Yeah.
We can't even get to the moon.
Or actually cryo sleep.
We can't send anybody to Mars.
Yeah. It's just, I mean.
I know. But so that's why they think Artemis is not going to make it. They don't think it's going to make it, especially with SpaceX and now, Blue Origin's out there. God, there's a lot of companies out there. There was one that launched today just from New Zealand. I can't.
And they're doing it better than NASA.
Yeah, they're doing it more efficiently. That's for sure.
Do it better, yes.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. It sounds like bad news, though. I think
need a bigger bang for the dollar. Bigger bang for the dollar.
A more efficient one. Yeah. Okay. let's talk about some real life bravery guys, right? Guys who are really doing the mission. I remember when I was contacted by the Coast Guard Academy way back when to try to come out there and go to their college. And I was like, I don't know anything about boats. I'm
That would
from
have been so
Colorado.
cool.
I know. Now that I know, I mean, like, I would have seen action almost like every day in the Coast Guard compared to what I saw in the Army. So here's some guys up in Alaska. It always seems like we have a good story for these guys up in Alaska, right?
The last
from task
final
and
frontier,
purpose,
man.
well, yeah, and it still remains that way. Alaska rescue units had a hell of a week. 3 planes, 2 countries, and 1 stuck helicopter, all in 1 week. So, the winters in Alaska are typically slower than warmer months for the military rescue team stationed there. The state's flyers pulled off a rescue grand slam, the article says, in late January. 4 responses to 4 different kinds of missions. Who's
going to win the annual award?
Right. It's going to be a hell of a Christmas party.
Okay.
The frantic string of missions began on January 26th when the Air Guard's rescue units were dispatched to Faro, Canada, where an ultralight plane had crashed. The 176th home at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson is about 250 miles from the Canadian border, and Faro sits another 250 miles inside the Yukon Territory. What would Canada do without us being up there?
Right?
Yeah.
That'd be trouble. Yeah.
I know. So the Guard's 210th Rescue Squadron launched an HH-60 helicopter, a Black Hawk modified for rescue with long-range gas tanks and a hoist, carrying 2 pararescue specialists from the 212th RQS. I guess that's Rescue Squadron. An HC-130 tanker from the 211th Rescue Squadron escorted the helicopter as it flew for air-to-air refueling. So it's going 500 miles. 500 miles to get these guys. The helicopter reached the crash site and picked up both survivors, then flew to Faro. After returning the survivors over to Canadian authorities, the crew found that the HH-60 had developed mechanical issues serious enough to ground it until maintenance could be performed.
Ooh.
So these guys are like, hey, let's fly out there real quick. Don't worry, you'll be fine. And then they get halfway back and it breaks down.
At least it wasn't on the space station.
Oh, God, miserable. Yeah, absolutely miserable. It's life-threatening, actually.
Yeah.
So then that was on the 26th. Then 4 days later, on January 30th, an HH-60 with PJs on board for routine training picked up a call from a Piper Super Cub that was suffering engine trouble about 20 miles west of Anchorage. The crew spotted the plane safely on the ground and landed nearby for the PJs to investigate. The pilot was still troubleshooting the aircraft to see if it was airworthy, said Alaska Air National Guard Major Tyler Siebold. When he realized it wasn't, he requested a ride. So they landed. He's like, yeah, can you give me a ride back? And they did. So that's rescue number 2. Nice. Right? Then the next day, January 31st, a call came in from Alaska State Troopers of a snowboarder injured in an avalanche at Turnagain Pass, a popular backcountry skiing area about 40 miles southeast of Anchorage. Siebold said, we took off pretty quick, got to the site, and fortunately the Good Samaritans on site and on snow machines had already prepared an LZ that the PJs could hoist into and put their litter down. The PJs found the snowboarder hypothermic, but not critically as they flew toward Anchorage. So on their way taking the snowboarder back, they got a second call. They got reports of an aircraft sinking through the ice about 40 or 50 miles from where the helicopter was. So they dropped off the snowboarder at the hospital. They came back to refuel. The PJs got dry suits and pack rafts in case they had to go into open water. They flew back in the air. The helicopter pilot spoke with pilots of civilian tour helicopters who were over the crash site. The plane was in the water, but no survivors were visible. Searching the area, they found that 4 people on board had decided to hike out. So maybe it broke down on the ice. They got out, and then the plane broke through the ice, I guess.
Or cracking when they were up.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. Once they got there, they saw 4 people walking about 4 miles from the aircraft, so they hoisted a PJ down to ask them if they were on the plane sinking into the ice, and they said yes. The PJs treated all 4 for different severities of hypothermia, from mild to severe, before hoisting them into the helicopter and returning to Anchorage. So that was all 4, but they still have that broken helicopter back in Canada. So here's what they did. To get the helicopter back out of Faro, they sent both Army and Air Guard units along with an active duty plane. A C-17 from the Air Guard's 144th Airlift Squadron delivered aircrew and mechanics to the closest major runway at Whitehorse, Canada. An Alaska Army Guard CH-47 Chinook. I got a picture of this one. That's cool looking, isn't it?
It is really
the skis on the sled.
Yeah. The Chinook flew from Jaber to Faro to deliver a load of necessary parts. And finally, an active duty C-12 Huron from the 517th Airlift Squadron, the military version of an 8-passenger Beechcraft plane, ferried people and supplies for the mission. Ultimately, they couldn't fix a helicopter, and they put it on the C-17 and flew it back.
What's amazing about the Coast Guard is the fact that 1 week you're dead bored out of your gourd. There's not a thing happening. And then the next minute, you go from 0 to 60.
Right.
You're flying with your hair on fire. And oh my God, man, shit's happening everywhere.
4 missions in 5 days or whatever.
5 days. Crazy.
So good on those guys, man. That's pretty badass. So whenever you hear about the Coast Guard or the National Guard up there in Alaska, God dang, man. Those guys are really
busy.
Yeah, they really know their stuff.
Go in, go poop, go back out.
Yeah, right.
Dang.
For 48 hours, and then you can go home.
Take care of business, man.
Like, I got chili on the stove, man.
My cat.
Okay, so that's a feel good one. I got one that's gonna befuddle you. All right.
Befuddle
you. So from Task and Purpose, over $151 million were taken from soldiers' paychecks for food costs and were spent elsewhere by the Army.
Wow. My God.
So,
come on, man.
Friend of the show, Ken Ramos, call sign ICE over at Army WTF Moments, talked about this last night on his podcast. And I feel that we should bring this to light too. So this is kind of long, and I apologize for it. But when you hear the numbers, you will be amazed.
I'm already amazed.
Sure. We've done enough of these types of stories. Here's just one more. The Army is repurposing more than half of the money it collects from junior enlisted soldiers for food, according to data reviewed by military.com. The numbers suggest that a large portion of those funds are not going toward feeding soldiers, a diversion of resources coming at a time when troops increasingly struggle to find nutritious food on base. The money is collected in what amounts to a tax on troops, taken from their BAS, or Basic Allowance for Subsistence payments. Yeah, that's a tough one. Roughly $460 per month that is automatically deducted from the paychecks of service members who live in barracks and is intended to help cover food costs. For junior enlisted troops who earn about $30,000 annually, the cost can be significant. 2024 financial records provided by the service from 11 of the Army's largest bases show that more than $151 million of $225 million collected from soldiers was not spent on food. Given that the Army operates 104 garrisons, the true amount of unspent funds is likely far higher. It's just, who is this? An Army Public Affairs Office put out a statement that said it's just returned to the big pool of Army funds and it's used someplace else.
That's a bunch of crap.
Now listen to this. At Fort Stewart, Georgia, for example, soldiers contributed $17 million, but the base spent just $2.1 million on their dining hall, redirecting 87% of the funds. Schofield Barracks in Hawaii collected $14.5 million, but used only $5 million, meaning 63% of the money was used elsewhere. All but 2 bases left more than half of the money for food unspent.
Why they enlisted? Weird, huh?
Because they're pulling off of that BAS, right?
Where
joint,
would they get
yeah,
BAS?
well, yeah.
Well, when they're off base.
Yeah, I guess it's the ones who are living on base.
Okay.
Well, you know that stuff better than we do, right? From your former career field.
I was in finance, but BAS
you were closer to finance than we were.
Yeah, but BAS was given to you for for food, but if you lived off base. But that was back in the day when they had the chow halls. Right. So if you lived on base, you just went to the chow hall. If you lived off base, then you would get BAS.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then you had to pay full price when you went to the dining hall for a meal if you were at work.
Yeah,
because we used to be able to go.
The meal cards, right? If you had a meal card, you were good. But if not, you had to pay the full thing.
And if you created fraud and married somebody and just lived off base with them, they got BAS.
Oh, the dual marriage. Yeah. I remember when they used to check, they used to adjust your BAH when you got married because you had to bring the lease in. And they would be like, oh, you're both living together, that lease, so you're not getting your full
reduces
BAH.
it.
We're going to combine it so you meet your rent. I was like, damn, that sucks. It's unclear what specifically the additional funds taken from soldiers are being spent on, but they do not appear to be going toward feeding soldiers. Major expenses such as dining hall infrastructure and food service worker salaries come from separate funding sources. And when pressed repeatedly by military.com, Army officials declined to provide additional financial data. Of course not. In 2023, military.com reported that Fort Cavazos, Texas, formerly Fort Hood, the Army's most extensive base, was barely able to keep its food services running for much of that summer, with only 2 of its 10 dining facilities open, leaving soldiers struggling to find meals.
See, that's so wrong, man.
Right. Wow. In November last year, the publication reported pervasive food shortages at Fort Carson, Colorado. Soldiers were fed meals that were just a slice of toast and lima beans, troops told military.com, and they took a picture of it. That was their dinner. I was like, holy
unbelievable.
Shit.
What is that?
That's what they serve. Lima beans and toast. Here you go.
I'd have thrown that shit on the floor. I'm out of here.
Yeah, right. But,
you got your dairy.
You know, you're an E3. What are you gonna do? It's like, I guess that's all we get, I suppose. Lima beans and toast. That's almost like prisoner of war food.
Oh man. Talk about living on bond substance, man. Jesus.
It says the Army has a nutrition policy on what is supposed to feed soldiers, though it's rarely followed and in some cases outright ignored. The service has invested in so-called kiosks, like I think the sandwich machines and stuff like that, which are cheap alternatives to major dining facilities. Instead of cooked meals, soldiers have access to grab-and-go snacks and prepackaged sandwiches, akin to the quality of prepared meals at a gas station.
Yeah, that sounds healthy for our soldiers.
Right.
I would have never thought in a million years that a box nasty or a box lunch would be better than our meal at the dining facility.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right?
Military.com reviewed the menus at those kiosks and found that it's virtually impossible for soldiers to stay within healthy nutrition guidelines, with most offerings being heavy in sugar and low in protein. The service's previous top enlisted leader, Sergeant Major of the Army Michael Grinston, sought to heavily invest in healthy foods, seeking to feed soldiers more like professional athletes and dramatically expand meal options to include fresh protein shakes. But those efforts never came to fruition after getting snagged in bureaucratic difficulties.
Army get corrected.
That was a great idea, right? Yeah, I mean, you get people to defend the country, put the best food.
Yes.
Army officials declined to answer detailed or even broad questions about how so much money is diverted and how budgets for food are decided. The service also declined to make any senior officials available for the record for interviews. Of course not, right? In the past, service officials have pointed to a lack of attendance at Army dining facilities, saying resources are continually stripped because of a perception of dwindling interest. Reports from service members frequently described undercooked meat, unseasoned meals, a lack of fresh ingredients, and unhealthy menu options. Wow. The substandard and sometimes dangerous food in turn leads to fewer soldiers using the facilities, a downward spiral that results in even less money being spent on meals. So I remember when they closed the Buckley dining facility because they're like, we don't have enough people using it. And that was it. And they're like, cut. And that was all during BRAC. That was so they could make. And I was like, are you just giving vouchers for what? What are you doing now? You got 2 dorms built here, and you shut the dining facility down. So
they don't.
And every time they said that, yeah, that's right. As every time they said that we're shutting it down due to lack of use, I don't believe that. People are always in there every time, especially back in my day. That thing was always being used.
Well, and true, it does depend. And Buckley is almost every career field on Buckley is shift work, right?
Yeah.
So yes, you don't have to keep open from 10 to 12, but you better be open at 6. You better be open around 3, and you better be open around 11 at night. You know,
yeah,
people to come in there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but if they're just like, well, we're open 8 to 5, and we don't get that many people coming in here. Well, yeah, you dumbasses, because they're all working shift.
They're all sleeping.
I know, so stupid.
Oh man.
Especially if you take Buckley or Schriever. Pete's better because Pete has more services on it. But to go out and get some food for your crew means you got to make that crazy walk, get in your car, go off base, go drive somewhere. That's an hour and a half round trip. If the dining facility would be like, hey, we want to put these put these in box lunches or box meals or something like that, that'd be awesome. And you pay you guys $7 for them or something like that. That'd be great.
The in-flight kitchen was the one that was always doing the box meals for all the flight crews.
Yeah.
So for cops, each shift would have an order that would go in at the beginning of the shift.
Oh, perfect.
To the in-flight kitchen.
Yeah.
And we'd say we need 24 box meals, ham, this one turkey, and divvy them up.
Right.
So
maybe instead of, let's see, Fort Carson, money collected from soldiers, 22 million, money spent on food, 5 million. So maybe somewhere in that 17 million, that dining facility could take some downtime with nobody coming in, but you're still ready to go. I think you could make that work.
Yeah. I'd like to see what the cost effectiveness of the 2 million or the 5 million that was being utilized for the food.
They don't realize. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go.
They don't realize how much of a retention and a recruiting benefit that would be.
Right.
And every man's heart wants to eat.
Well, true. Right.
Yeah.
What is that saying? A true place to the heart or something
is
way
to a man's heart is through his stomach.
It's through his stomach. Yeah, through his stomach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that was what was great, at least at Schriever, when you could go at night on night shifts and they'd have a short order grill or whatever they had there. That was wonderful. Pete had a good one. Vandenberg had a great one. And that's what all the Army guys, and he was talking about this on his podcast on WTF Moments or Army WTF Moments last night, was why does the Air Force figure this out? How does the Air Force do that? Well, the Air Force contracts all that stuff, right? And
and hopefully they're using all the money budgeted for it.
Hopefully Buckley wasn't.
That would be helpful.
Buckley didn't. Yeah. They've totally pitched it, right? So there are those instances where the Air Force is not taking care of their people either, but not on par like the Army. And you would think coming out of that recruiting crisis, let's make everything really okay for these guys, would you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, just give us snacks and good food.
Just some food. I mean, the kiosk, that was doomed to fail from the get-go. Yeah, and they're like, I hate it when they do that, and they're like, well, the troops voted for this. It's like, why did you even let them vote? They're going to dumb vote all the time.
Yeah.
So why?
Because they want to keep their money. They want to keep the money that it costs to go into that machine.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you're probably right.
They say, put that shit out there.
Yeah. I mean, you go to Buckley now and you go over to the BX and they got food trucks out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's fine. Put the food trucks out there. But I don't want to pay the food truck price if I'm enlisted. I mean,
yes.
shit, give me a meal card with that food truck. And I'd be like, okay,
right on.
I'll do that. So
it's a damn shame.
Yeah, that's the Army. So I'm glad they exposed it. Will something happen? I don't know. Maybe when Doge starts looking at that shit.
I hope so.
I don't know how a base commander or somebody at that level can just. I mean, they've got to have line items in the budget, right? Can they just I'll just take this 10 million out of dining and I'll just move it over to ammunition. They can't do that, right?
Well, I think the Secretary of Defense, especially in times of critical emergencies, wartime situations, can dictate where his money goes. I think he controls his budget more.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Is it O&M money? Because O&M is O&M and you can move it.
Yeah, you can move it anywhere.
But like the pay.
What was the other class of money that's hard coded? You can't touch those. Those funds are meant for whatever they were. What's that other class called? You can't remember?
O&M and one other.
Yeah, there was.
Because they always talked about, and that goes back to end of year spending that we always talked about too.
Oh yeah,
end of year spending.
End of year.
Was it RPA? Was it RPA?
Oh, I thought RPA was a type of pay.
But you couldn't mix. You couldn't mix those.
Oh, you couldn't mix them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They were different pots.
But O&M was O&M, and then you have the admin offices that are just buying 1 million pins to spend their O&M budget, and here's freaking the Army with lima beans and a piece of toast and 2 glasses of milk. Come on.
Yeah, we got you a bunch of stress balls with end of your money.
Operations and maintenance was O&M.
Yeah,
and there was still another one that we're not talking about.
Yeah, one of them was real slushy. I thought.
I forget.
Well, Eric will find it. Eric usually finds it.
RDT and E, which is research, development, test, and evaluation efforts, but it had a different acronym.
Yeah, we never saw that down there.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're way off, Eric. You're way off.
Okay, I quit. O&M was the only one I remember.
You did great. You did good. Stay on. Stay with us.
You remembered O&M.
So Shane Gillis. Have you seen Shane Gillis's comedy?
Mm-mm.
You should watch. I thought we sent you Shane Gillis. He's funny. He has a bit where he talks bad about his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend was a Navy SEAL, and then he came along and he's like, that sucks. That's the worst previous boyfriend you could ever have, right? So he tries to make up shit talking Navy SEALs. He's trying to put them down, right? It's a pretty funny bit. However, that reminded me of this next story from Task and Purpose again. Navy SEAL candidates often swim in water with high levels of fecal matter.
How nice.
They have to condition themselves.
Oh, but
I guess so. Maybe you never know.
If you think of third world countries and where they're going in and out.
Good point. But they're not trying to live off fecal water. They're just forcing them into the sewers, which were previously the ocean. Where the city has banned people from swimming, but they're making these guys go.
They're freaking Navy SEALs
and all that stuff. Well, yes, Navy SEALs with a bad digestive tract now. So, a recent report from the Defense Department Inspector General's office found that Navy SEAL candidates often conducted water training exercises off Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, California, even when local beaches were closed due to high levels of fecal indicator bacteria, a telltale sign of fecal matter. Navy SEAL candidate exposure to contaminated water occurred because Navy Special Warfare Command did not follow San Diego County's beach and bay water quality programs beach closure postings, which is what the IG said. The IG report noted that the Navy has documented 1,168 cases of acute gastrointestinal illness among Navy SEAL and Special Warfare Combat crewmen candidates who trained at Naval Air Base Coronado between January 2019 and May 2023. What did you say?
It's acute. It'll go away. It'll be all right.
You'll be
It
okay.
won't kill you.
Walk it off, buddy.
I mean, could you imagine though? Like, okay, so say we groom. I get it. No one wants to swim in fecal mattered water. Okay. Sure. But they are Navy SEALs. And they have, like, I'm actually being realistic here. They can't pick and choose what kind of water they're going to swim in and, like.
Fair enough. That's fair.
Rescue
actually.
Me.
Yeah.
Like, or somebody. I don't know.
I agree. That's fair. And, but it's just, I don't know. But at the same time, but it'd still be like in the field, they may go, oh, let's find another route.
Yeah, this is training, by the way. We're training. I'm not really saving anybody here.
I know they're candidates, but I was just thinking, like, your child when you find out the other child has like smallpox or something, you're like, get my child next to the other child. Same. They have to get conditioned.
Toughen them up. Let them get some immunity to that smallpox.
I think it was Jacques Cousteau before he died that actually said the oceans of the world are the toilets of the world.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? You think it was Jacques Cousteau who said that? I've heard that before.
Yeah, I believe he was.
Sure.
That's why the ocean's so salty.
Oh, you're disgusting. But I did tell you when we went over to Qatar and the plane broke down and we stopped in Italy for 24 hours. So a bunch of us ran down. I was like, let's go see Venice, let's try our luck with the train system, which we couldn't read a word of. See if we can get down to Venice, walk around for a few hours and come back. And you go down to the canals on Venice. And,
they're nasty.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Yes.
They're
Just the
so
smell.
nasty.
And you go off like they have the tourist canals with the gondolas and all those guys, but didn't realize that those canals are just they're for merchants. The people live right next to the canals, and they're just dumping shit in the canals like a toilet.
It's so nasty. Yeah. So
and I was like, this is gross. If you ever fell out of that gondola, you'd be worse than these Navy SEAls, man.
Could you imagine if you're trying to get into the gondola and you fall and you're like,
oh,
I don't want to go on the gondola.
It's a bad day.
You pull your leg out of the water and it's got like the steam from the movies as it's eating away the clothes. You're like, oh my
bad
God.
Day.
Yeah,
Bad
it's
day.
pretty nasty. So DOD IG found that levels of enterococcus, I can't pronounce this word, enterococcus bacteria, which live in intestinal tracts of warm-blooded animals and indicate possible fecal matter contamination, exceeded state limits in 76% of tests conducted on samples taken from the beach north of Coronado and 75% of the samples taken from the beach south of the base between February and September 2024. But these instructors are like, get in that water. Like,
it's going through a filter of your skin before it gets into your body. That's if you don't swallow it.
You see those guys doing the sit-ups with the log.
And they have a suit on.
No, they do not. They just have their BDUs or whatever.
BDUs.
They just have their uniform. And they're yelling and screaming and choking because the water's going
mouth is open
into their mouth.
That's so
You're
nasty.
speaking to a person who was born and raised in San Angelo, Texas. And I used to be swimming in O.C. Fisher, and there's a cow patty floating by.
Oh my God.
We would play with it.
Okay. Well, now we understand your thought process.
I didn't die.
Well, true. I mean,
maybe that's why my eyes are brown. I don't know.
We figured it out. You're only 5'4" and your eyes are brown. Maybe that swimming did affect you after all.
Swimming with cow patties.
Yep, it was fun.
That's not good.
So
dad
basically,
drew-
yeah, they were ignoring the surf warnings, and the instructors are making them get in anyway. DOG, this is the great part of this. DOD IG recommended that Naval Special Warfare Command institute a policy to monitor water quality and to relocate, reschedule, cancel water training when bacteria levels are higher than state health limits. So, you know what they said in response? They said, yes, we vow to implement both of these recommendations by December 31st.
We got plenty of time.
We'll get to
We'll
it.
got plenty of time.
And hopefully somebody forgets about it.
That's for taking my chow hall money. I'm gonna make you swim in that shit.
You're not gonna be hungry after you do the surf training. Trust me, you'll be okay, guys. You'll be all right.
Ooh.
That is pretty nasty to think about that.
It is nasty.
And now you know. I got to make it through this training. I'm probably going to get some severe intestinal thing, but I've got to push through that too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get washed out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But according to honest SEAL training, you may be swimming in a river of shit somewhere.
You might
And it's true, and you may get the shit.
You may get some in your mouth.
You, and you're stuck in the Philippines. Like, you gotta get out of there somehow.
That's
It's
true.
all about conditioning.
Oh.
Is it fair to say we probably have the best water in the world overall? Even older houses and shit, but we gotta have the best water, right?
Oh, for sure.
Here in
I
Colorado.
mean, in general, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some mountain towns that have much better water than we do, or something like
Well,
that.
the
But
filter
overall,
infiltration stuff, that filter stuff, even the old is better than what most countries have. Most third world countries have.
even the old
That
is
filter
better than the
filtration.
never even thought about
That's right.
this.
Yeah.
So
Drinking straight out of the old riverbed.
yeah, right. I don't know. That's got to be tough. It's like, hey, getting that surf, and I'm like, hey, Sarge, what if I get bacteria in my colon? And he's like, you'll have something else in your colon if you don't get in that water. Like,
Now get in the water.
Oh my goodness. Why'd you quit
So-
Navy SEAL training, young man? Well, sir, things were floating in the water that I didn't necessarily want to put in my mouth. So I quit. Oh,
And everybody be like, yeah, okay, I get that.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
Eric, what do you got for history for tonight?
Well, it certainly isn't bacteria in the water, so we can move on to something good here.
I like the cow patties in the river that,
No, it was in the lake. In the actual lake. Because they allow
in the lake. It wasn't.
Yeah, they allow the livestock to wander, or they did back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know I got dysentery at some point because I was
you
really,
did?
really sick. Oh, I had to have been like 10, and I was so sick.
Oh.
My mom kept telling me I had the stomach flu.
Wow. Something, right?
That's so bad. Bah.
You could have been a Navy SEAL with that kind of gut now. Look how tough you are now.
I like
it doesn't work that way.
Well, let me give you a little context about tonight's history so we can move on from this ill-fitted
from the caca water.
So from the caca water. Shortly after its attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941, Japan gained control much of Southeast Asia and the Central Pacific. They extended past Burma, down to the Dutch East Indies, now Malaysia, New Guinea, Wake Island. So they were spreading, right?
Right.
So tonight's history is concerning the start of their downfall.
Midway.
This was the Iwo Jima.
Really?
Iwo Jima.
I thought, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, all right.
Certainly Midway was the first time that we won a significant battle against them.
We put a hurting on
Iwo,
their Navy, right?
Yeah. Iwo led to the island hopping campaign that started putting them all the way back to the mainland, right? So
Okay.
the World War II conflict between the States and the Empire of Japan, the United States mounted an amphibious invasion of the island of Iwo Jima as part of the Pacific campaign against Japan. A costly victory for the United States, the battle was one of the bloodiest in history of the United States Marine Corps and was cited as proof of the Japanese military willingness to fight to the last man.
Yeah.
Where is that one part? Okay. So we needed Iwo. It was supposed to last, they thought, 3 days. They actually thought they could take the island in 3 days. It went from February 19th of 45 down to March 26th, 45.
Oh, damn.
So lots of loss. 70,000 U.S. troops.
70,000
against
souls?
18,000 of Japanese.
Oh, okay. We didn't lose 70,000, but
not dead, but
just
part of the battle.
Damn.
Right. A lot of people. So
that's more than we had at Normandy, right? I don't think we had those numbers at Normandy. I don't know. We have to look that up, but sorry, go ahead.
So here were your loss numbers. The battle was one of the bloodiest in the Marine Corps history, resulting in nearly 6,800 American and approximately 21,000 Japanese casualties.
Damn.
So those were the deaths.
6,800 and
one of the biggest
21,000. My God.
Losses. The Japanese were crazy, you know.
Well, yeah.
I would love to go see the island as part of a tour group. You know, you can go to the island, but you have to be part of a tour group. You can't just fly into Iwo and say, "Hey, I'm here. Let's go party."
And there was like nothing strategic on the island, right? I don't think. I think it was just its position, but other than that, there was nothing strategic on that island.
There were some airfields. I'm looking at a map right now. There's 1, 2, 3 airfields, and they look major.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what it was. It was just
there is now, and I don't think there was one back when they started it. It was just occupied, heavily occupied.
And it says Battle of Iwo Jima.
I don't think there was an airstrip because for an airstrip, really?
Yeah, they had to be because that was the one of the strategic reasons they took it. But other than that, there was like nothing infrastructure there, just its location.
Well, I thought it was Okinawa that had the airstrip that was going to get us closer, especially when we talked about dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Fair.
But all right, I'm good with that.
I know there were 2 or 3.
It could be lies. It's Google.
I know there were 2 or 3.
The island was strategically important for its airfields, which could support bombers and fighters.
Okay, fair enough.
You're right.
But I know there were 2 or 3 islands that were in that close to by. Iwo was the battle. There was because I remember reading Bush's biography, and there was like a radio tower on the neighboring Chichijima, the island of Chichijima, and they were trying to take out that radio tower, and that's where he got shot down. The senior Bush, that's where he got shot down and had to be rescued. So,
wow.
But Iwo started on the 19th. Wow.
Yep, that was the invasion, 1945, February 19th.
God, good one.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Did they have shitty water there too?
Probably.
I guarantee
Probably.
I'm pretty sure they didn't. They didn't have Fuji.
No.
No Iceland water.
No.
Evian.
Here's your smart water. Welcome.
Welcome to Iwo.
It was a place I wouldn't want to be. I know that much. Whew.
Wouldn't that be
Water
such a mine? Like, I don't want to say the F-bomb, but you're invading, and then there's all these people handing out like smart water, and be like, what is going on? And then they shoot you in the face or something. Some psyops going on.
I can't even picture what you're saying. It's so ridiculous.
It's like a
It'd be like
Walmart
the
greeter,
last
man.
resort. I'd be like, everybody, go out there and start welcoming them. Give them the water and shoot them in the face.
Got a little towel and a gun underneath. Here's your
Yeah.
water, sir.
Think.
Suckers keep
Nice.
falling for the smart water. Jesus. Glad you're back, Anna. That's what we
We
needed.
missed you so.
That's exactly
Sorry.
what we needed.
I'm messing up Iwo Jima, but no. Actually, it lasted more than a month, didn't it?
Yeah, that is nuts, man.
It
I mean,
was-
that
it
battle
was
is crazy. That battle is
February
so
to
fierce.
March.
Yeah, that battle
Yeah.
is so fierce.
So they
when
had
they
to,
finally said that the island was secure
All right.
over
right.
a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably still had Japanese down in the tunnels, like
Oh, I'm
not
sure there
realizing
were.
that they surrendered, coming up.
Yep.
Oh, man. That's.
did they
Those-
only have the Marines involved?
I think the army was out there, but I don't know if they were there for Iwo.
Iwo,
there was
Iwo was
some
the
army,
first
right?
invasion with the Marines. There was
Yeah.
army, but they led the first landing. The Marines did the landing.
I
Yeah,
wonder how many
yeah.
divisions they took out there. And then how do you plan for that? You know what I mean?
70,000. They had all of them out there, I think, right?
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
lot of divisions.
It was big.
Did any Marines? I'm not even going to ask that because somebody's going to watch this and go, "These guys are military guys," but I don't
Right?
know of any sectors in Europe that the Marines had specifically. I don't know if they were just Pacific. Maybe they had some in Europe, but usually it was the Army and Air Force in Europe, and then you had Navy and Marines with some Army out in the Pacific. So I'm not sure. That'd be a good one to.
I think
research for
that's
next
accurate.
But I don't want to
So the Battle
shortchange
of
any Marines that were in
Anzio-
Europe. So,
I believe the
Italy.
Battle of Anzio Beach in Italy,
Yeah.
I think had Marines.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Yeah.
would make sense. That would make sense.
But for the majority, what you said, Army and Air Corps in the European theater, and Marines in the
Yeah.
Pacific with some Army. Yeah.
It's crazy that we're the
Okay.
one country who fought on two fronts like that. That's amazing. Good job, us.
Yes.
Good
Yes.
job, us.
Hopefully
cares
we
of a
can
little-
see that in the future.
Who cares a little shitty water? Get your ass in that surf, man.
It's all
Yeah.
about conditioning.
That's right.
Remember what they went through. Big time.
Hold your-
Well, on that shitty note, let's call it end up. All right.
Right on.
behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure next week that you are not late for changeover.
Because of Iran.
I like that.
Because of Iran.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Because of
Um,
Iran.
Anna was first onto the podcast.
By the way,
It
you
was
need to
really
tell them what a RAM
surprising.
was. Random
Anti-terrorism measure. I didn't want to say measure. I
Random.
just said check. I know.
Anti-terrorism.
It's not random. It's fucking guys, man.
I always felt so
Anyway.
nervous whenever I went to a Ram. Even when you get pulled over, don't you get oddly nervous? Like,
The one I was nervous at, I saw the dogs one time at a gate. And I was like,
yeah, I'm like,
I know I don't have anything, but who knows what they're gonna.
I know
Alert
my
to the
daughter
car.
drove my car for 6 months.
Oh,
I need to
it's
clean
full
that.
of cannabis.
I'll be like,
I bought
I
the
didn't
vehicle
know.
yesterday. I swear I didn't know. Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna alert at something, and I'm like, I have no idea what's in this car. I'm pretty sure I'm clean, but I guess not. That was Sparky down here telling me it's not.
Yikes.
Anyway.
Go to jail.
Stay warm, everyone, and to everyone listening and watching, thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.
Right on. See you guys.
Yeah.